Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the, sorry, I got to put my glasses on, for the committee as a whole for February 7, 2013 Business Affairs and Administrative Meeting. Roll call, please, Ms. Campbell.
Mr. Derman,
Here.
Mr. Hannigan,
Here.
Mrs. Heinz, Mr. Loop,
Here.
Mr. Harrell,
Here.
Mrs. Tipton, Mr. Jeter,
Here.
Mrs. Seeley,
Here.
Mrs. Mullet,
Present.
Mr. Bettencourt,
Here.
Mr. Womack,
Here.
Mr. Panks, Mr. Lamarck, Mr. Alfred, Mrs. Belisario.
Thank you. Ms. Heinz, invocation and pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us this evening as we gather to do the work of the school system. Please guide us in our decision making. We further ask that you be with our students and their families and our employees as they enjoy a week off next week. May they travel safely and enjoy the carnival season safely. We also ask that you continue the healing of Ray Alfred, who's doing very well, and we appreciate that he's doing so well. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Heinz. There is someone that is requesting time on the agenda tonight, and that is Mr. Wayne Gorovich with the American Legion. I hope I didn't butcher that too badly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, school board members. My name is Wayne Jurovich. I'm the Vice Commander of American Legion Post 415 in Mandeville. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here tonight to ask for your assistance with two of our upcoming programs: the High School Oratorical Scholarship Program and Louisiana Boys and Girls State Program. The Oratorical Scholarships are as follows: first place $18,000, second place $16,000, third $14,000, and each state winner receives $1,500 in scholarships. The Oratorical Scholarship Program is a speech contest on our nation's Constitution. Participants prepare speeches on specific articles and amendments. They are told just before the contest which article and amendment they will speak on, and they deliver their oration. Obviously, this scholarship program is geared towards students who excel in history, speech, and politics. Last year's winner from the state of Louisiana was Justin McGrath from Fontainebleau High School in Mandeville. Our Louisiana Boys and Girls State Program is a week-long program for high school juniors. For 1 week, the participating students run for, elect, and perform all elected offices in a city, parish, and state program, from dog catcher through governor. Ladies and gentlemen, both of these programs are geared towards the further education and advancement of our students. Unfortunately, participation by students has been low, too low. We need your help. We need you to ask your principals, counselors, and teachers to pay close special attention to the American Legion programs. The American Legion will be contacting schools. We will also be sending literature and brochures for their reading. Please, please make a note to convey to your schools the importance of these programs, as well as their benefits. Lately, when we've tried to implement these programs in the schools, we haven't had much response from counselors, teachers, or students. We've had to really dig in there and try to get their help, try to get their participation. And we're coming up against brick walls way too often. This is way too important. I participated in Boys State when I was junior in high school way back when. And it was very beneficial. It looks good on college resumes, and it's for the advancement of the students. And we take pride in it. The American Legion does. And you will be hearing from us again. We look forward to coming to you at a later date and sharing our success with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Wayne, if I could, if you have a flyer or some information that you can either get to me or share with me, I'll be glad to have Ms. Araby and others, and we'll get something out directly to the principals and encourage their support as well. So any information that you could give to me would certainly help me move forward to contact everyone.
Thank you very much. You'll be seeing me in about a month with those brochures.
Okay,
Thank you,
sounds
sir.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your efforts. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of minutes for the committee as a whole meeting held January 3rd, 2013. Thank you. Moved by Ms. Seeley and seconded by Mr. Bettencourt. Any comments from the public? Well, I should say any comments from the board members? None? Okay, no comments from the public. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Against? Abstain? Seeing none, that passes. And moving on now to administrative, Mr. Brady.
Thank you, Mr. Durham. We'd like to recommend tonight the acceptance of the low bid submitted by CM Combs Construction, LLC, in the amount of $976,000 for the renovation of the pre- and kindergarten wing at Fifth Ward Junior High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project number 0812.4.
Second. Moved by, was it Mr. Mr. Harrell? Mr. Harrell moved? Okay. And Mr. Jeter, second. All right, any comments from the board or any questions? Any from the public? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. So moving on again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also recommend the acceptance of the low bid submitted by Morgan Roofing Incorporated in the amount of $319,000 for the re-roofing of the main building, the kindergarten wing, and the walkways at Fifth Ward Junior High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board, project number 0812.5.
Moved by Mr. Harrell, second by Mr. Loop. Any questions from the board? Any from the public? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained?
Mr. Brady, these are all continued part of the 2008 bond issue.
Yes, sir, they
correct?
are.
Okay. Mr. Brady, monthly construction report.
Ms. Tipton and Mr. Menino are here. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to help you find your answers.
Does not appear that we have any questions, so moving on again.
Thank you very much. Monthly maintenance and custodial report is at your desk. Mr. Richmond, his crew is here. If you have any questions concerning maintenance or custodial.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none.
Thank you again. Our monthly risk management report is also at your seat. Mr. Gaspard is here. If you have any questions of Mr. Gaspard.
Appears to be a very informed board tonight.
Very good reporting by my people, I would say.
Well, yeah, you're right, your people. Moving on again, Mr. Brady, to
A
transportation.
monthly transportation report is available also at your seat. Are there any questions?
Seeing none, I guess you've done a, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We have Mr. Foss had asked asked our department to present some information about our transportation department. So tonight, we're pleased to do that for you. We're going to bring you a presentation tonight on school bus safety. If you recall, Mr. Foss asked us to do this and asked Miss Amy to provide you with an update on the work of the transportation department. After a brief overview, Kurt Gaspard, our risk manager, will provide an update on current trends, and then Ms. Kathy Amy, supervisor of transportation, will provide a brief description of transportation protocols, proactive measures that we have currently in place. Let's first start with an update on the current daily averages. As you can see, we have almost 400 buses on the road each and every day. We transport over 26,000 students to and from school. This results in an unbelievable almost 29,000 miles each and every day that school is in session. If we multiply that out by the entire year, it comes to almost over 5 million miles. Each day we could go around the earth and still have about 5,000 miles left over that we transport children on our highways. So transportation is a big chunk of our budget. It's also one of those departments that is vital to the smooth functioning of our school system. I'd like now to turn the presentation over to Mr. Gaspard, who will talk to you about some of the trends that he has noticed in his work with risk management and working with transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Good evening, board members.
In addition to our quick facts, it's important to note the overall traffic environment for St. Tammany Parish. This graph shows the number of licensed drivers in St. Tammany Parish has increased by almost 20,000 since the year 2007. The biggest increase occurred between 2008 and 2009. Based on the most recent information available and shown here, St. Tammany Parish is ranked 4th in the state for overall licensed drivers in our parish. Jefferson, East Baton Rouge, and Orleans are the top 3. This next graph covers current bus accident trends. Looking back over the last 7 years as well as the current school year, I'd like to share some observations from this graph with you. It compares total accidents over time as well as partitioning the totals of types of accidents, ranging from no damage to severe damage accidents. And as you'll note, the largest portion of all the bus accidents fall within the minimal category. That is defined by causing less than $1,000 in total property damage for that one accident. And as seen above, this is about the same for 2009 and 10 and 2011 and 12. 2010 and 11 shows a slight dip. The moderate category is also showing a recent declining trend starting with 2010 and 11 school year. The moderate category is anything between $1,000 and $5,000 in property damage. The severe figures are too low to show up on this representation, and that would be anything over $5,000 in property damage. And the no damage category has also seen a significant increase. This is due in part to some reporting changes that occurred within the Transportation Department a few years ago. The last graph I'm going to talk to you about is the monthly bus accident comparisons. Here you can see, for the most part, the percentage of overall bus operator accidents that occur in a month are proportionate to the percentage of overall days traveled for that month. For the 2011-12 school year, October appears to be the exception, with a slightly higher percentage of accidents. However, it should be noted that the percentage of accidents from December through May are still tightly aligned to the percentage of overall days traveled. December is a short month for our school days because of the winter break, compared to October, which only really has 2 days off, one for the parish fair and the other for record keeping. Now Miss Amy is going to cover the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
I'm glad to stand before y'all tonight because we do want to tell you what a phenomenal department that we have, and we have certainly made every effort with staff to make them as professional as Byron Williams charged them in our last in-service, was to make them professional bus drivers, and that's certainly what we expect of each and every one of our employees. But in the event of an accident, bus operators must follow the accident protocol, which includes, and if you'll look at the points here, first they must secure the bus in a safe location to wait for law enforcement to arrive. Of course, immediately calling 911 and also reporting the accident, including injuries, to the Transportation Department, which then we notify the central office for additional support as needed. School administrators are absolutely called, and oftentimes those school administrator, or at least one from the school, will come to the site of that accident if there are many students on board, as well as help with any notifying the parents. The schools are responsible for doing all of that as well. Also, the driver must have the documents available for the officers that are at that scene. That includes like the driver vehicle documents, and that's like their CDL license as well as the original physical, registration, insurance. And as you see, we also have to have a student roster, including addresses and phone numbers, as well as a bus seating chart. So all those things must be readily available. When the law enforcement officer on the scene, along with the emergency medical personnel, releases the students, the school administrator or the transportation team member on the scene will then proceed with student transport, parent pickup if necessary. And next, they must, an accident report must be completed and submitted to the transportation department within 24 hours, and then we take and send that on to the central office as well. Accidents resulting in bus operator citations or a vehicle being towed will require bus operators being drug tested per our district policy and state law. Other conditions of accidents may require bus operator drug testing in compliance with state and federal laws as well. So we have to maintain our compliance and are secure for, and it's also a benefit for our drivers as well. Okay. The school bus operator certification requirements is very important for you to understand that this is not a one-time little quick thing that they do. It's quite extensive. Prior to becoming a school bus operator, as well as during the employment, these requirements, along with others, must be met and maintained. And you can see that they have to have the commercial driver's license, the state of Louisiana motor vehicle report. We actually pull that, and it gives us, indicates all the citations that driver would have, or that individual would have gotten in a private and or commercial vehicle. 24 hours of pre-service training, 20 hours behind the wheel training and observation, drug testing that's pre-service before they even become a certified bus driver, as well as random drug testing, which we completed today for this month. Annual mandatory in-services, and during application process, the HR department does a background check and completes all of the necessary papers at that time. Our annual in-services are held in July, October, and March, and we've been very fortunate to have successful in-services. In July, operators receive annually updated procedures and guidelines like that accident protocol that we just went over. These procedures and guidelines are distributed again in the in-services during the school year. We shower them with all the protocols over and over again. October and March dates are mandatory full-day in-services, which may include topics seen here, as you can see: passenger management, PBIS, bus safety and procedures, traffic guidelines and regulations. And I've spoken to you after some of our in-services to let you know what a quality program that we have. And we also have, like Mr. Fols, our total support from the top down, Mr. Loop, who came, this our last October in-service. And we also include our community and have community connections, such as Sheriff Drat Strain, which he was a former, or is a former, bus driver, Sergeant Jeremy Church, and our 911 liaison, Tom Buell. So many, many more, but we're trying to make that community connection and keep all of us on the same front. For Bus Safety Week, at the school level, this is typically done in the month of October. Schools implement lessons for students on bus safety, as well as show appreciation for our bus operators and attendants. And that's a very important time for our bus personnel to be included and a part of the family of the schools that we service. Also, during this time frame, students also practice bus evacuation drills on the school campus. Administrators time and record the drills, submitting the information to the transportation department. Also, they do a student bus rider counts. They're collected in September and in March, and that is very important as to planning and making the necessary arrangements to transport safely and keep our counts within regulations. We also have a bus safety brochure. That is communicated to, the bus safety is communicated to all the parents with the bus safety brochure, which is distributed to all students at the beginning of school. A few sections of the brochures are here, and that includes rules to follow, accident procedures, and emergency evacuation procedures. And that's critical for the parents to be involved as well. They review the bus safety brochure with the bus rider and complete the required form, returning it to the bus operator. What's next? Well, we have lots of good plans in place, and we're constantly evaluating and to determine what our drivers, our bus employees need. Well, one of the things that we are implementing is that we're offering monthly safety seminars for operators and attendants, and it's voluntary, but it's topics that we really feel that they'll buy into, that we've gotten input from them as to what they want to see at these seminars, and we will be doing those on a much smaller scale to meet the needs, so it's personal instead of like our biggest, when we have 700, for the in-services that are so large. We'll also be conducting safety reviews, and that's very important for us to look at each incident, preventable, non-preventable, look at all those statistics, because that's how we make our changes and provide better training. This concludes our bus safety report. I give it back to Mr. Brady.
Thank you, Kathy and Kurt. Board members, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask at this particular point in time?
Mr. Hennigan.
Thank you, Mr. Dearman. This is for probably Kurt Gaspard, if I could. So, Kurt, I appreciate seeing the trend in accident numbers and property damage. I guess I'm also probably a little bit more interested in injuries. Can you tell us the trend in injuries, either to the kids on the bus or to people who may have been involved in the accident that are in the public?
Well, I didn't incorporate that into this information tonight, Mr. Hennigan. I can say that very few student injuries have occurred in my tenure here as a risk manager. There have been bodily injury claims that have arisen out of some of these bus accidents, and some of those end up in our litigation with our defense attorney, but we just wanted to kind of categorize these accidents and show what those trends were. The bodily injury portion is somewhat difficult because it may develop over time from the occurrence. If you'd like, we could incorporate that into a future report.
Just going forward, I think that's where our liability is, more so than the property damage. I mean, the property damage has been fairly negligible.
Yes, it has. The two, it depends. Some people may have an accident with the bus and do not have an injury as well, but we can elaborate
Let's
on that.
compile those numbers and make those available.
Sure.
That'd be a good idea.
Next time, you can
Yeah.
wait till next year. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm sorry. Yes, Ron?
Thank you. The bus safety brochure, does that go to every one of the students that ride buses?
Yes, sir. One of the requirements that the bus drivers begin almost on the first day, generally on the first day that the children ride the bus, is to hand it out. It also, there's a section where they have to return back parental information, contact numbers, and things such as that. So it is very, very important. But they do go out, hopefully to every child that rides a bus would get one of these brochures.
Okay,
And in many schools, they just give them to every student, so in case they would ever ride the bus, they would have that information on them.
That's a good information. So as whatever's returned, that's where the driver gets that list with the addresses and the
Yes, sir.
phone numbers?
Yes, sir, and that's the majority of the parents are very, very cooperative, and we've always had great support from our parents overall. From time to time, we have to, get the principals involved to get some of this information for us, but all in all, the parents are very cooperative. It's very important because if there is an accident, one of the first things that law enforcement asks us to do is to name who's on the bus and give them the contact information. They even ask for a seating chart. Where was where was Bill Brady sitting? Where was Ron Betancourt sitting? We have to do it very precisely.
Okay.
We've also got some really good mileage out of the transportation hotline that we use at the start of each school year. We found it's used a lot by parents that are having their children ride the bus for the first time ever. It's just a comfort for them to be able to talk to that driver ahead of time, talk about pickup times, drop-off times, locations. So that's something that, we can start a few years ago that's certainly been a good customer-friendly type mechanism for our parents.
And one other question, is the safety brochure on our website? Because it seems like that might be a good idea. If it's not, for a parent that might peruse it or whatever, once they've misplaced this brochure, around the house or something, or the dog eats it or whatever. If we don't have
No,
that.
that's an excellent idea, and we have a link on our system-wide webpage for the Transportation Department, and we'll certainly work with Meredith and Ron, Ron to get, Barthay to get it taken
Yeah,
care of. I don't want to
work with-
confuse you. I don't want to confuse him with you.
I'm confused enough. Yeah, I just think that might be a good idea.
It's an excellent idea.
If we add that to our website. Thank y'all very much. I'm hoping that was real informative to, our parents and stuff out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Seeing that, Ms. Brady, again, thank you and your personnel for supplying us this information. I think it serves us all very, very well to know this. Thank you again.
It's been our honor to do so. Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving on to business affairs. Ms. Fortenberry.
The purchasing report is in your packets, and Ms. Stevens is here to answer any questions you may have.
Does not appear that we have any. So we're going to move on to the announcements from the president. Ms. Heinz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Schools will be closed February 11th to 15th, Monday through Friday for the Mardi Gras holiday. All school board offices will close February 11th and 12th for the Mardi Gras holiday. The regular school board meeting will be held on Thursday, February 21st. And now I'd like to call on Mr. Harrell, who has some exciting information for us.
Fifth Ward, well, there's an NFL program called Play 60, and Fifth Ward Junior High was the grand prize winner this year. And we've got a short video if y'all want to see some excited kids. I don't think I've ever seen a group more excited than what this did for the school and actually for the whole community of Bush. It was wonderful.
You got your camera ready? You got your iPhone?
With Super Bowl 47 being played in New Orleans, NFL Play 60 issued a challenge to schools nearby.
This was a program that we opened up to every school within 90 miles of New Orleans, and there were many schools that applied. We had more than 15,000 kids participate.
From that huge group of participants, it was the Fifth Ward Junior High students that really stepped up and ahead of everyone in this challenge.
And what they would do is every day they would do their physical activity, whatever number of minutes it was, they would journal it, write it down, put it into the book, enter it.
The NFL lady told me that she has never seen better documentation and better logs turned in by students than from this school, and that's one of the reasons they were picked.
We ended up turning in all 162 books. Whatever we started with, we turned in 100% and finished it and did a great job with it.
The NFL, Xbox, and the American Heart Association recommends that you play 60. But why 60?
That's what the scientific organizations tell us is the most important, and that's the message that we want kids to hear, that it's really important no matter how you get it, no matter what form of exercise, but that it's 60 minutes every day.
Today I talked to him a little bit about there's 1,440 minutes in a day, and we just want 60.
Jimmy Graham, Akeem Hicks, and Michael Lewis then participated in the Play 60 Ultimate PE course that was made up of the jump rope challenge, cone course, football relay race, toning training, and Xbox Connect units.
It was very fun. I got to race Jimmy and beat him. Whoop, whoop.
Although the Play 60 Ultimate PE class was a success, there was also another important message Jimmy Graham wanted to share with the students.
If I wouldn't have been attentive in school, if I didn't stay in school and get my education, then I wouldn't be able to keep up.
A well-rounded education is the key to success, and the success here at Fifth Ward with the Play 60 Super Bowl Challenge had Principal Chris Ufneck overwhelmed with joy.
It was awesome having the NFL come to Bush, Louisiana.
Tiger Edwards, Channel 13.
And I too want to thank the principal, Mr. Ufneck, for the job they did on this, the excitement, did a great job. You know, a funny story was that there were supposed to be 4 players that were coming, Jimmy Graham, Hakeem Nicks, and Michael Lewis, and I think Charlie Batch was the 4th one. Well, come to find out, there's a Fifth Ward Junior High School in Reserve, Louisiana as well. Well, 3 of the 4 players actually went to Reserve, Louisiana. And I think it shows their dedication that even once they got there, they actually turned around and came to Fifth Ward. They were late. Jimmy Graham went ahead and did his part. But for the other ones to come after going to reserve is certainly impressive, and I know the students were very happy to see them. The other thing I bring to your attention, I don't know if you saw or not, but in the poster for the $2,500 check, the big check, I don't know if you saw it, but Peggy Sharp was the person standing next to Jimmy Graham. She actually put a body block on me to, Jimmy Graham said it's better than any block he had seen in a Saints game this year, that Peggy Sharp pushed me out the way to get next to Jimmy Graham and be in that picture. So her effort was to be congratulated as well for helping with this as well. But it was a great day. I mean, Mr. Harrell hit it right. I mean, Fifth Ward was so excited, the whole community. We had coverage on channels 4, 6, 8, and 26 on all newscasts, and as I told Chris, that's the kind of publicity for our school system that you can't buy, and it's the community connection that we're talking about, and their school did a great job with it, and it was a great day and a fun day for everybody that was involved.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Foles. And that concludes our meeting as a whole. So we'll adjourn for 15 minutes and for the next meeting. Thank you.
I'd like to call the committee as a whole meeting for February 7th, 2013, Human Resources and Education to order, please. Roll call, Mrs. Campbell.
Mr. Hennigan.
Here.
Mrs. Heinz.
Here.
Mr. Derman.
Here.
Mr. Loop.
Here.
Mr. Harrell.
Here.
Mrs. Tipton. Mr. Jeter.
Here.
Mrs. Seeley.
Here.
Mr. Betancourt.
Here.
Mr. Womack.
Here.
Mr. Panks.
Here.
Mr. Lamarck.
Here.
Mr. Alfred. Mrs. Belisario. Mrs. Mullet.
Present. Okay, we will dispense with the invocation and the pledge since we had that earlier. There were no persons requesting time on the agenda, so we will move on to item number 5, approval of the minutes for the committee as a whole meeting held on January 3rd, 2013.
I move.
Second. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Jeter, a second by Mrs. Seeley. Any questions from the board? Comments from the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All abstain? Motion's passed. Item number 6, Human Resources. The revisions of Bulletin 130. Mr. Jabbia.
Thank you, Ms. Mullet, members of the board. When we came to you a few months ago, we told you that Bulletin 130 was a work in progress. It's still a work in progress. We're coming to you tonight with some mandated changes that the Betsy board has adopted, and also there's a couple of changes that we want to present to you. But I'm not going to make the presentation because we did appoint 3 people in our office to work with Compass and the evaluation instrument, and they are our experts, and that's Regina and Julie and Brandon. So I'm going to turn it over to the expert from the HR to make the presentation.
Thanks, Mr. Jabbia. Good evening, everybody. In your packet are the changes, as Mr. Jabbia said, and as stated in my letter, most of the changes are directly mandated due to current Bessie action. On page 5 in your packet, in the very first section, 105, at the top of the page, part B1, there was some language in there that's covered in another section of our evaluation plan. So we're bringing that to you tonight to remove that from this section. The rest of the changes on pages 5, 6, 7, 21, 22, and 24 are all changes mandated by that Bessie action. If you notice, the things that are underlined are additions. Anything that is struck through is a deletion. Please note that page 23 in section 905 is definitions. There's no changes on that one page. It was just the full part of that section. And then, as Mr. Jabbia said, we have another change in section 317, which is our due process and grievance procedure. And these changes are coming straight from us. This is to streamline our grievance procedure and to reflect the process as outlined in our collective bargaining process. We've taken a good look at these changes, particularly the ones from Bessie in addition to ours, and we see these as very positive changes both for our administrators and for our teachers in this new evaluation process, and we'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
And board members, you may recall in our small group meetings, I did mention to you that we were going to be tweaking that grievance process to bring it in line with our collective bargaining agreement, because we do have a grievance process in our collective bargaining unit, and we want this to flow right through that and use that same grievance procedure.
Mrs. Heinz.
I have a question for you, Mr. Clanton, but before I ask it, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the changes as provided.
Okay. I have a motion by Mrs. Heinz and second by Mr. Durman. And call for question, Ms. Heinz.
Mr. Clanton, how current are some of the changes from the State Department? I know that they've been making changes, like, are we talking last week?
We're talking in January at their
Okay.
January board meeting.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So there is some possibility that we could be coming back again with some more.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion. All in favor? I'm sorry, comments from the public or questions? Excuse me. We'll take that vote now. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All abstain? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
I should have restated. Okay. Moving along, instruction, strategy plan, Mrs. Araby.
It's that time of year again where we give you an update on our district strategic plan. And as you can see, we will be covering all 4 task areas. The first area we'd like to show you the updates this evening has to do with cultivating community relationships and shared understanding. The 2 topics that we'd like to share with you tonight have to do with our community connections and Facebook. We continue on any occasion that we are asked, or we are certainly quick to ask. The superintendent presents the good news of our public school system. We continue to add to the logos of this, and now being in Superintendent Folse's 3rd year, we have actually been to some of these different organizations more than once. Our presentations are received very, very positive, and we do know that this has given us a great opportunity to share the great things going on in our school system. Next, as you may have remembered, last January, just a year ago, we did add Facebook as one of our ways in the way of communicating and getting the good news out about our school system. As you can see on this chart, The people who have liked us over the course of the last year has greatly increased. And if you will notice, from July to October, we did increase over 6,000 people who liked us. This, we do know, had a great deal to do when Superintendent Fultz was making the hard decisions on if our schools should be open with Hurricane Isaac quickly approaching the Gulf, or if they should be closed. So at this time, we really know that it really increased with the number of individuals. And I will say, for the most part, we get a lot of positive comments here. I am a Facebook person who just reads. I don't contribute, and Mr. Fultz is quick to tell you that he is not a Facebook person. So we keep him informed on this site.
And I don't believe you when you say 7,000 of those people like me when we said that school was open that day.
The school was open.
I refuse to believe
They
that.
like you most of the
All
time.
right,
Let's put it that
I'll
way.
live with that.
Core Task 2, this has to do with producing experiences and results for customers. And what we're going to show you this evening to give you a little spotlight on has to do with our student achievement and our guaranteed curriculum. I know you remember that earlier in the year, in October, we did receive the great news that our school system received a letter A grade. We also improved in our district performance score. And what we're proudest of as well is 88% of our students achieving at or above grade level. You can see with the chart, this is a district report card that we have put together, and it really gives you just a really quick glance at what our public school system is all about. And we will continue to bring you these reports as we get the updates. Also, we received the great news with our district performance score being 122.8 in an 8-school district, that we were ranked 6th in the state, but we also know that we're doing the comparables of school systems that are similar in size to St. Tammany Parish schools. And that would be that we ranked 1 in any school system that had 20,000 or more students. We also received news in the fall that with our ACT score increasing by 0.2, that we are now at 21.9 at a district average, ranked number 1 in the state. But what we are very proud of is that we are not only above the state average, but the national average. And as we always tell everybody when you're looking at the ACT score, that this is an indicator of our students being college ready. Our guaranteed curriculum is certainly what we do believe is driving the performance of our students. And just as we have noted with the new Common Core standards, that we have certainly made certain that our curriculum has been in this transition as well. We have some great writers. Our curriculum team is busy around the clock, and they have identified master teachers who also are very involved, because we know that they're the ones in front of those students, and they always have that wealth of knowledge to add. One thing that we did want to focus on with our guaranteed curriculum, this was a topic in our Compass presentation last month, was that there are pre and post tests for our teachers to use. They are included in every single unit in the curriculum. And these pre and post tests have been written by our curriculum writers, master teachers, and they are viewed by our C&I curriculum supervisors. And we do believe that this is really giving the teachers a tool to, first of all, identify where their students are, and then instruct using the curriculum with the activities, and then to give a post-assessment at the end to see if they got the students where they needed to be at the end of the unit. So we are very proud of this edition, and as always, we will continue to add. It is a living document. Core Task 3 has to do with sustaining a learning community and leading for improvement, and we would like to share with you the board members' CLUs and the Schlechte Center Regional Seminar that was held last month. We know that it is not just the teachers, administrators, and district office people who are staying on top and continuing their professional development, but the board members themselves are very, very involved. And as tonight, as you're sitting here at this presentation, you too will be earning another CLU credit. And so we will continue to provide these lessons for you. And as you travel around the state, and many of you involved with even online training, the CLUs continue to grow for our own board members. Earlier in January, we held the second regional Schlechte Conference. We were real excited about this conference in many ways. First of all, it's training that our teachers and our administrators ask for. Secondly, because of our relationship with the Schlechte Center, with them coming to St. Tammany Parish to hold this conference, the teachers and administrators do not have to travel, which is certainly a great relief on our budget. The other wonderful thing about having the conference here and opening it up to the school systems around our area, it gives us an opportunity to network with some of the other public school systems. We had Washington Parish, Livingston, Terrebonne, St. Charles, and St. Bernard all had different people who attended this. Even the superintendent from another Livingston Parish was here to attend this conference. Superintendent Spulse does the kickoff for the conference, which is always very entertaining, kind of sets the tone for the conference, and then the Schlechte Center does their business, and it is a 2-day conference. Now, we know that as we have been in the training with our teachers and working with our curriculum, that it is important that we listen to what our students have to say, because we know they actually are the customers in the classroom. And we want to just share with you what some of them did have to say in a panel that was held during the conference.
I would have to say maybe like getting involved in the actual subject instead of just the same old thing. Oh, here's a worksheet, do the vocab. Maybe like group work.
A lot of times you can learn a lot from your classmates as well with class discussions.
Just to switch it up a little bit so then we're not extremely bored with the topic. Even if it's a hard topic, try to like break it down into different things for us to get involved.
Going above and beyond, in the classroom, and getting your students involved just in other ways is very important than just having them sitting and listening to you and taking notes.
Some people, they have a hard time speaking up and participating. And because of class discussions, they can become more comfortable, I guess, expressing their opinions and views with their classmates. And that positively affects almost everything else that they will do in school.
As we listened to what our students said in a panel 3 years ago, actually, and you may have heard a little piece of it then, to look at that first video and what the students had to say 3 years ago and where we are today is a clear indication that we are continuing to build the rigor in our curriculum and in the taught curriculum as the teachers are working instructionally in their classrooms. As we go out and about on our quality assurance visits, we as a CNI team get into about 20 schools during the year, and it is typically about a half-day visit that we have at the schools. I will tell you, it continues to amaze us at the hard work that our teachers are doing and the instruction, the technology, and the facilities that our students are in every single day, that it is just remarkable. And we know that because of that, our students continue to have the results that we showed earlier in the Core Task 1 area. So now let's hear what our teachers and our administrators have to say at this panel discussion.
Our students are our customers, and we need to be doing things to keep them engaged, to make sure that they are excited and they want to be here every day.
So they literally, each group came up with their own rubric.
So then I thought to myself, was that evidence that these students are making this learning their own? Absolutely.
I'm teaching civics right now, and when we were involved with domestic policy or foreign policy, I could tell the kids were not just focused while they're in my room. They are talking at home with their parents, and the parents now are becoming more actively involved. If you can get your parents talking about what you're working on in the classroom, the students will really shine.
If we've done something, I tell them, did you like it? Did you not like it? What you liked the best? What you didn't like? I need feedback. And that shows that they have ownership of their learning because I listen. If you didn't like that station, let me know. I can change it.
Another great thing that you probably heard in listening to the student panel and the teacher panel is that common language is no longer just what you hear at the board meetings with board members speaking, with teachers speaking, and administrators. I think the very next level where we are, which certainly is another indicator that puts us above any other school system, is that our students are speaking the same language. That's when we know that we have hit the mark with our curriculum and our instruction. Our core task 4, refining access to resources, support, and technology. There are 3 indicators that we'd like to share with you tonight. The first being cultural competence, Striving Readers Comprehensive Literacy Program, and Reach Out and Read. Our cultural competence standards, which we kicked off last July at our administrators' conference, we have carried that theme through this school year, knowing the importance of setting a culture for all. We had Dr. Davis, who came to speak at our principals meeting in November, and then you may recognize Coco Battle. She's there, and she spoke at our administrators' conference, and the great thing that came out of that conference is we had different areas within our schools where they wanted her to come and speak to them. She has been involved with our pupil appraisal team. She's been involved with our counselors. She's been involved with our graduation coaches. And that's been another community connection. She is actually a graduate within our school system. I believe Mr. Folst was actually her teacher or administrator at one time. And so all of that is building relationships within our community, but also is bringing another community connection. We have always been very, very proud of our Striving Readers grant. We've shared with you the opportunities that this has given to our school system, and we know that it has not been, the money's been nice, and we've been able to use that in our Salmon learning community. We know that it's given us an opportunity to improve our student engagement, our parental involvement, our community support, and certainly the financial impact. This, we know, in looking at the data, has already made huge gains in that Salmon learning community from the babies through the high school. And another part of this particular grant is certainly, and one of the big primaries parts of it, is in building community relations. With that, there is the Reach Out and Read program. And earlier this month, we had the kickoff ribbon cutting with this, where Superintendent Folst actually read to the children. And then you're going to see the community people that were there to share in this and will continue to share throughout. Even when this grant is gone, we see that this community connection will live, and it's going to have an impact on the children in our school system. So I'd like for you to see this clip that Channel 13 put together.
School officials in Slidell Memorial Hospital teamed up to place children's books and volunteer readers in the waiting rooms of pediatricians' offices in order to promote reading while their children wait to see their doctor. Beth Lane, who is supervising the program for the district, stressed the importance of introducing books at a young age.
When kids are very young and they have books in their hands and they're read aloud to in these early years, this increases the probability of both a healthy child and a successful child.
Superintendent Trey Folst welcomed the new project, seeing it as an important role for the school district.
This Reach Out and Read program brings together so many different groups. Our theme as a school system this year is community connections, and I really can't think of a better way to make that connection, starting with all the different agencies that are represented here today.
Taffy Morrison, the hospital's community outreach manager, also shared her excitement about the project.
We are really glad to partner with the school system to be able to help them in any way we can to help our families, because that's our mission also here at the Parenting Center, is to grow families not only emotionally, socially, but also academically.
Bill Davis, Chief Executive Officer with Slidell Memorial Hospital, stressed the importance of literacy skills not only for young children, but for adults as well.
From a literacy perspective, if you're not able to read the instructions, understand the instructions that you're given, you will have a poor health outcome.
Dr. Stevenson, a local pediatrician, is the first physician in the area to participate in the project.
My staff and I are very excited to be participating in this program. The nurse practitioners and I have all been through a training program that Reach Out and Read has designed to help us learn the best ways to give each age group some pointers on how to encourage reading.
It's important for children to be exposed to books at an early age. Studies show when children are read aloud to in their early years, it increases the probability of becoming effective readers. Even placing books in the hands of young children can create a love for books, which can impact early reading skills.
You get one at 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. And each time we talk to the parents about what language and speech skills are expected at that age and encourage them to help the kids develop.
I rough you in the evening when the moon lights up the night.
A highlight for the young children in attendance was Superintendent Folse reading to them.
I rough your little fingers in your teeny tiny toes.
Much to the children and the mother's delight, children were also given their very own books to take home, further supporting the belief that introducing books to these young ones at an early age is vitally important for their future success.
Bottom line, every child in this world will have books in their hand. Parents will know how to talk to their children about books, which develops a huge bond as well as increases vocabulary and language skills, and they'll enter kindergarten healthy, happy, and ready to learn.
Well, in review, our 4 core task areas, as you can see, core task 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will continue to work as a great school system to make sure that the district's strategic plan is being followed, and then we will have all of our updates back in August, which the way the time's been moving is going to be here before we know it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Araby. Are there any questions or comments by board members? Okay. Thanks again. Spotlight, Salmon High School World War II Monopoly game. Ms. Parker.
Good evening, Superintendent Folse and board members. Tonight we are pleased to spotlight Salmon High School. A few months ago, a group of 40 Salmon High School students visited the World War II Museum in New Orleans, not only to view the artifacts and displays, but also to see the final copy of a professionally developed Monopoly game. The students actually helped create this Monopoly game in partnership with the museum. The special edition of the Monopoly was the idea of Salmon teacher Kevin Boone. He used a homemade version to engage his students while they studied World War II. The idea for the new game came from Mr. Boone during preparation for the field trip to the museum. He was looking for an innovative way to teach his world geography students. So, as a class project, he had them create a Monopoly game using World War II facts. Each class played the other class's games before they went on the trip. Channel 13 produced a video of the field trip that we'd like to share with you at this time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need $200, please.
History teacher Kevin Boone had a thought about how to engage his students in learning about the Second World War.
Last spring, I had this idea about converting Monopoly into a World War II version. The idea came to me in the middle of class. I just kind of rambled it out.
So Mr. Boone put his plan on paper and put the students to work helping to develop the game.
I took them to computer labs, let them research the information, and then as groups they worked together. When they got into it, I saw a lot of learning going on, and it was very exciting.
Not only were they learning, they were putting together their version of a Monopoly board.
So the idea was we're going to take all the events off the board. We replaced everything, the cards, the pieces, everything. Made it very authentic to be detailed, exactly all the events of World War II.
So where's Boardwalk and Park Place? Well, it's been replaced by Victory over Europe and Victory over Japan. Pretty good idea? Let's ask the education program director here at the World War II Museum.
I think this is the greatest idea since sliced bread. I am very much of an educator who believes that these difficult to wrap your mind around thoughts like World War II may be best presented, especially for young people, in an engaging format, in a fun format.
With a great scheme in place for learning, Boone decided to take the process a step further.
I called the director over here. Chris and I had a long conversation, and apparently they had Armed Forces version of Monopoly here at one time. And the gentleman who provided it for him had lost his license. So they've been looking for something for years to put in its place.
I met with USAopoly and Hasbro and discussed the project with them to see if it was something that could be pulled together. They were very excited about the project.
Energized by that prospect, the museum moved forward to produce the new Monopoly game, which totally floored Mr. Boone.
I fell out of the chair. Honestly, I was at work. It was during my lunch break one day, and I got an email to give him a call. He said this is going to be advance sold, and he was telling me all the places it was going to go, and it just broke out. Now it's going to Walmart. It's just amazing. It's unbelievable.
So with all the game pieces falling into place, the World War II Museum hosted a special event to kick off sale of this new game.
Very, very simply, today is a day to say thank you to the students at Solomon High School, to Kevin Boone, and to all of the teachers at Solomon High School, and to honor our veterans, home front workers, World War II veterans, and all veterans, and introduce this game to the world through the media.
Tiger Edwards, Channel 13.
We're joined tonight by Principal Terry Wortman, teacher Mr. Boone, and student Philip Samir. Mr. Boone would like to share with you first about this project, and then you'll hear from Ms. Wortman, and then finally from Philip.
Good evening. Mr. Foltz, school board members, I want to tell you how much of an honor it is to be working for this district. I remember when I sat in new teacher training, I heard Mr. Foltz talk about all the extraordinary things that went on in this district, and I remember thinking, I wish I could be a part of that. I think that brings us to this. This whole experience started in my classroom, and it was designed for nothing more than just learning the events of World War II. We were going to take a field trip to the World War II Museum, and I felt like my kids just weren't familiar enough with it. So after searching on the internet whether or not such a project or such a game existed, I found out there was not. I couldn't believe it. So I called Chris McKell at the World War II Museum. We had a long conversation, and to make a long story short, I drove the bus to the World War II Museum, jumped off, put on a tie, and we sat in his office for 2 hours and talked. So I have been to the World War II Museum 3 times. I have not had the opportunity to see it yet. The last trip that we went back, I was being interviewed by reporters the whole time, which isn't a bad thing. But anyway, I just wanted to thank y'all for the opportunity of bringing me on at Solomon High School. It's got wonderful leadership. It's got wonderful teachers and wonderful students. The students I had last year's 9th graders that are a part of this got to go. And it's nice sometimes as a teacher when you tell the kids this is really going to pay off for you one day, that what you're doing here is going to be a part of something special. And then when you see that in action, the way this has occurred, you know, this is wonderful. This is wonderful for all of us. So I get long-winded and I apologize. So I want to introduce our principal, Miss Terry Wortman. She was the one who recruited me, and she called me for the whole summer when I first applied to the district and kind of showed interest, and so she's the reason I'm here today. And with no further ado, Miss Terry Wortman.
Thank you all for having us tonight. This is something we encourage all of our teachers to do, and it was really wonderful to be able to, when we played this at the principals meeting and everybody got to see, and I think now everybody across the district, teachers, this is what we need from you, because this is the kind of work that kids do, and they become engaged, and that's when they learn. So this evening, on behalf of the Salmon High School students, Mr. Boone and his class that developed this wonderful game, we would like to present to Mr. Foltz his very own copy of the World War II edition of Monopoly.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ms. Parker. And Mr. Boone, I'd like to just, on a side note, I am a Salmon alum, and my favorite subject was geography, and my teacher was Mr. Willie Packer, and he was a great teacher, and I can see that the tradition of wonderful history teachers continue at Salmon, so I'm very proud.
Thank you.
Proud to be alum. Thank you. Okay, we have Pearl River High School with a World War II essay. Dr. Sanford.
Good evening. Superintendent Foltz, Ms. Mollett, board members. We're going to continue down the World War II museum path. Tonight, we are here recognizing the achievements of Gerard Cook Moulin, a Pearl River High School student who entered into the contest A Salute to Freedom, sponsored by the National World War II Museum in conjunction with the National History Day. Students were required to research their state's contribution and efforts to America during World War II, capture images to visually portray those efforts, and finally write an essay explaining the significance of those images. Gerard's winning essay for the state of Louisiana focused on the work of Andrew Higgins and the Higgins Industries. The honor of representing the state of Louisiana allowed Gerard the opportunity to be an active participant in the dedication ceremonies for the pavilion opening, as well as the opportunity to interface with World War II veterans, our Louisiana senators, Mary Landrieu, David Vitter, and many other officials and dignitaries. So tonight, I'm not bringing you a PowerPoint. I'm not bringing you an actual film. I'm bringing you the actual student. Gerard, would you please join me? Gerard is going to grace us with a reading from his essay.
Thank you. Ambition, training, and persistence often combine to create a successful entrepreneur. Add to those attributes the inspiration to solve a problem of a specific geography, the opportunity to contribute to America's efforts to wage a war, and the patriotic commitment and sacrifice of a team of skilled workers, and the results change the world. Andrew Jackson Higgins was born in an era in which America may not have been able to envision rising to the challenge of world war. Born in Nebraska, Higgins could not yet have been inspired by the marshy shoreline of the Louisiana coast. If Higgins the man was born in Nebraska, Higgins, the new Noah, as Adolf Hitler would call him, was born in the geography of coastal Louisiana and rose to the challenges of World War with a team of Louisiana patriots. Higgins' contribution to World War II was built upon the successes and near misses of all his adult life. His most iconic World War II boat, the LCVP, Landing Craft Vehicle Personnel, one of his boat designs, collectively nicknamed Higgins boats, did not spring from a blank blueprint page. Its design was a modification of Higgins' Eureka boat, a shallow draft craft designed to maneuver through the shallow, marshy coastline of his adopted home of Louisiana for the timber and petroleum industries and for the U.S. Coast Guard. In modifying the Eureka boat for World War II to create the Higgins boat, Higgins added a rear ramp so that soldiers would not have to disembark and equipment did not have to be lifted over the boat's sides. World War II provided the opportunity for Higgins' boat building operation to evolve from employing just a handful of workers constructing the Eureka boat to hiring more than 25,000 Louisiana citizens who came together from all walks of life to contribute their efforts. One of those workers was my own grandfather, Richard John Cook Sr., who became a boat carpenter at Higgins Industries City Park Avenue plant and tester of the Higgins boats in Lake Pontchartrain. Thank you.
Mr. Herschel Abbott Jr., Chairman of the Board of Trustees for the National World War II Museum, wrote an article in the Times-Picayune honoring Gerard's work. In the article, he stated, "I know that America needs more Gerards. We are very proud that St. Tammany has Gerard as one of our own." And tonight, along with Gerard, are his parents, Mr. Richard Cook, his mom, Miss Cheryl Moulin, his Pearl River High School mentor teacher, Miss Melissa Cynthia, and his principal, Mr. Mike Winkler, and I would like to ask all of them to stand at this time, including Gerard. And in closing, Mr. Foltz, I think that this World War II scholar can give you a run for the money on your board.
I'm sure of that.
Thank you, Dr. Sanford.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any
Left.
comments? Okay.
I just would like to say I wish the gentleman from the American Legion had stayed
Right.
to hear that fine essay. It's great.
We'll share it with you.
Absolutely. Wonderful job. Well, I believe the president had announcements earlier. Do you have anything else? Okay. With no announcements, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.